Masechta Sanhedrin Daf Mem Zayin Amar Aleph. We're going to start from the beginning of the Yom Tashma. The Gemara now is going to try to be machriya in the suffix that we had, whether the reason for eulogy is it for the covet of the mace or it's for the covet of the live relatives. Tashma, come in here and I'll bring you a right from this drasha. It says, "Benegay to the milas of tzaddikim, nivz bein of nimas." It says that he who is degraded in his own eyes, and repulsive, says, referring to the case of Chizkiah Melch Yehuda, Chizkiah, the king of Yehuda, Shekirya As Atzmas Aviv, who dragged the bones of his father Achaz, who was a Rasha, Al Mita Shechavalim, on a bed of rope. And if the reason is for the covet of the maze, if the reason is for the covet of the Kravim who are living, my time, why did the Chizkiah behave in such a way that he dragged his father to such a derech bezayin? That's a bezayin for himself and for the people who are under the rulership of Achaz. He did it in order that it should be a kapara for his father. Through this bezayin, his father was forgiven from his rishus. Is Chizkiah allowed to push away the covet of all the Yidden for the kapara of his father? The Yidden themselves are more than happy to be to forfeit and go through this bezayin, that it should be a kapara for the king Achaz, for their king. Tashma, come in here and I'll bring you a different ayah. Benegay, the tzava of Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi in the time of his death. Amalahan, Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi said to the Chachmi Yisrael, when they're going to carry his arin from here to Tzipay, the altis, don't eulogize me in the small little towns. Rather, only in the big cities. And if you're going to say it's for the covet of the chayim, for the live ones, it's a covet for those that are living. What difference did it make to Rebbe if the hesped would be in a big crowd or not? Why was he worried? And the Yimana, really, I can tell you, Zaraya, that he was concerned that the hesped should be as a covet for himself. Says covet for the mace. Says you want to know, really, kasava li he wanted that when there's a big kahal, a big gathering, that is a covet for Klal Yisrael itself. Tashma, come in here and I'll bring a right from this that we learned in the Mishnah with the again. That's the suffix. If eulogy is because of the covet of the mace, or it's the covet of the live kravim, says you want to come in, I'll bring you a raya. It says that you're not allowed to leave the mace overnight without a kfuda. So is the overnight not is it for the covet of the mace? So they left for the covet of the mace, meaning they allowed the mace to stay overnight without a kfuda. In order to bring him a casket with shrouds. Then he's not going to be on the Isa. My love is not the Kvedesh mace. This is because of the covet of the mace. And so you have a raya that the maisim the same thing with the hesped, the eulogy, and alana, the same, all included. So you see, it's not because of the covet of the chai, it's rather for the covet of the mace. Says Gemara, no, it's lekved shal chai. It is for the covet of the chai because the chaim become miskabed if the mace is buried in the normal fashion. With tachrichim and with arin, so that's a cover for those that are living. Maybe do we allow that the mace should stay overnight only because of the covet of the chai that he should be buried in a respectful way because it's for their own covet, for those that are living? Says Gemara in, yes. When the Torah says that you shouldn't allow the dead person to be overnight on the hanging on the tree, so we learn that has to be dafka when it's done in a similar fashion to a person hanging on a tree. There's a bezayin showing that nobody cares. But over here, this that they left the mace of unburied on night because it was for a purpose to bring the arin and the tachlichim. Giving the less baby zayin, since in this the letting this mace stay overnight without a burial was for a caring purpose, that they wanted that he should be buried in an arin with shrouds. So then the Torah didn't say it's a Isalana. It only has to be, the only Isalana is like when a person hanging from the tree and you stop and let him stay overnight. That's a Isa. But here it's not for no reason. Here it's for a reason. In order to get him the casket with these shrouds. Tashma says, okay, I'll bring your eye from here. When you get to Isalana of Halan Sameis B'lei Kura, if Tzalin Lechveidei, if they let him stay without a quorum for his own covet, like L'Shamei Allah Yareis, in order to gather the people to eulogize him, and they waited to get the people that cry, or special women that cried by the eulogy, and also being a casket with shrouds. There's no Isa Halan Sameis, because Shakola Isa, whoever does it, it's only for the covet of the mace. So this Bryce says Befedish that it's for the covet of the mace, not for the covet of those that are living. This is how you have to say it. And this is the covet of the Bryce. Whoever leaves the mace and prolongs the time till he gets buried, and is only in, and he does it for the purpose to be mechaber the chayim through the kvura of burying the mace. Ain't by bezayin mace. That in itself is not a bezayin for the mace. So therefore, you have no raya. It's mitzad the covet of the mace. Rather, it's for the covet of the chayim. But he says, even though you're prolonging the time for his burial for the covet of chayim, there's no bezayin. That's not going to be a bezayin for the mace. So you have no proof whether it's for the covet of the mace or if it's a covet for those that are living. Tashma, come in here. Now, I'll try to bring you a raya from here to answer the shaila, whether it's for the covet of the mace or the covet of the krev of achayim. Simin Yafa lamaze kishnei Ephraim Menu lachamisa. So Simin Yafa for the mace when they punish him after misa. Masha maze shaleit nispa v'lei nikbar. A maze that they didn't eulogize, nor did they bury him karaoi, or a wild beast schlepped on the ground, or there was rain that poured on his bed. This is a good simon for the mace. Shmamina, you have a right from here. You can learn out that the hesped and all the inyane covet that's done by mason, yekar the shachviu, is because of the covet of the mason. Because we said it's a kapara. Shmamina. So you can talk here's the conclusion that it's for the covet of the mace. It says they wouldn't bury those that were killed by Bezdin. They wouldn't bury with the regular people because they were considered as a shame. Why shouldn't you bury the Harugi Bezdin with the regular mason? Because you don't bury a Rosh by a tzaddik. How do you know you don't bury a Rosh by a tzaddik? It's not like it says in the pasuk. They were all going to bury this man. And they saw the battalion of the Mayavim, and they became afraid. And they threw this man in the cave of Elisha. It says that that person fell and his bones touched Elisha, and he was revived again, and he got up on his feet. So you see that the tzaddik is not cannot. The reason why he got up on his feet and the Eibishter made him alive again is that he shouldn't be buried with the tzaddik Elisha. And this is talking about a false Navi. It's talking about Navi Shakir, who's Russia. And they threw him into the cave of Elisha. And the reason why he was revived, that he shouldn't be buried with Elisha because it's a Russia with a tzaddik. So you have a raya for that. Maybe it's to fulfill the request of Elisha from Eliyahu that he should have double the spirits of him. And Eliyahu revived one person, also Elisha revived one person. So maybe in order that it should be double, so this person was revived. Amalei. So Abai said back to Papi, if that was the purpose, I know the Tanya. This what we learned in another in the Braisa about the story. It says he only got up on his feet, but he didn't go home. He died right after. So if it was to revive a person like Eliyahu did, but double that, that's not a good raya. For the can that for Behi no Pishnayim. In fact, if that's not the Pishnayim, where do we find the double, the second time that Elisha revived the person? That he healed the tzaras of Naaman. That he's a person who's a tzara, as I'm saying, is considered as a dead person. The Chsiv, it says by the request of Aaron from Moshe that she asked for Aaron asked Moshe to heal Miriam from her tzaras. Al not he kameis. He said she shouldn't be considered as a mace. So you see, a Mercedes is considered as a mace. So the Gemara, Kshem Shem Kevin Rosh, so Tzadikach Ein Kevin Rosh and Chama, it's a Rosh Kal. Just like you can't bury a Rosh by a Tzaddik, you can't bury a Rosh who has the punishment of Skila or Sreifa together with the Rishaim that got the punishment of Chanek and Sayef. And it says the Gemara with the Sakan Abakvar, it says the Gemara, if so, you should make 4 separate places for burials. Skila is the most harsh one, so there should be a basic punishment for Skila, one for Sefer, one for Chanek, and one for Hereg. Or first for Hereg and then Chanek, because Hereg is more Chamor than Chanek. And the Gemara Shnei Kvaros this that we have only 2 burial spots for the Skila and the Sefer, and a separate one for Chanek, Hereg and Chanek is Gemara Gminulite Halach L'Meish Mesinai. Ama Ola, Ama Rabbi Yochanan, Ola said the name Rabbi Yochanan, Achal Chelev, if a person ate Chelev, the Hifish carbon, and he designated a carbon Chatas to forgive for his sin. And then he became a mumma. And he retracted, he did tshuva. But in the time when he separated the carbon Chatas, there was a hefsek of being a mumma, so it was already nitcha, yitcha, so it's pushed off. Says the Gemara, will show you a hira similar to that. If a person ate chelev b'sheikel, he was carbon and he designated a carbon chatas, but before he could be makriv, the carbon nishtata became mishuga. Because nishtaf and then it became normal again. So there was a hefsek from him bringing the carbon because he was a sheita, and then a little while later he became normal. So we said since it was nitcha, it was pushed off, yitcha. It's yitcha forever, and he cannot bring it back on the mizbeach. Says, why do we need both cases? I need both cases. If you would only say the first eight about a mumar, mishum by a mumar, I'll say, hey, there it's nitcha because the bala carbon himself pushed himself a yodayim, meaning he did this terrible thing, and he caused that the carbon should be possible by becoming a mumar. Aval hai. But here, this person, it happened on its own that he became crazy. I should say, he's considered as a person who's sleeping. And a person who's sleeping, just like a carbon is not nitcha through this, that the owners fall asleep. If the Bible slept through the night even, so too, this carbon shouldn't be pushed off because of it becoming a Shaita. And it went away, the shtus went away. That's why Rabbi Yechon had to teach us, no, that it's nitcha. Like, you want to be Yashmin Hachan, if then we only would have said that case of where he became crazy and then became normal, Mishum Deim, B'yad L'asei. Because it's not the yadid for him to change it back to become normal. Aval Hasam. But in the case where Haman, it does say, the B'yad L'asei, that he's able to do tshuva. So since it's B'yadai, so B'yadai is like, it's not considered as a nitcha because every minute he could change and do tshuva. So I would have said there's no din of dichui. That's why we needed both the Gmayis to tell us in both cases. Once it's nitcha, it's pushed off. We also learned this din in the B'nai Seven to the spoils of Iran Edachas. Hayuba kachim. If there were kachim, so then it's not one of these things that you just burn. Rather, kachim is bayach yamusu. The behemoths that were designated for the mizbeach, it dies, and you can't bring it up on the mizbeach because these kabanis is of people who are ashamed who are of the city of the Nedachas, and it's Zavach Rishayim, and Zavach Rishayim is Teiva, you can't put it on the Mizbeach, but Kachim Bedek Habayis. But what's if there was money that was designated for the fixing of the Beis HaMikdash, and that's what they said, Yipadu, then they should redeem those items for money, and those objects, those items that they designated should become Chulum. And they asked from the words of the Ma'aseh Maya Musa, why by the din of Kachim Mizbeach, of the Anshe Yonadachas, why should these karbanis not be able to be marked on the Mizbeach? And for the Gemara, even the Iktul, since these Anshe Yonadachas were killed, this is part of the Kasha, since they were killed, Havilu Kapara, so they were already Mechuper, so they're not in Shem anymore. Veliskulu Gavaya. So it's a right to be put on the Mizbeach. Lav. So why taket can't we put it on the Mizbeach if they're not considered as Zivchir Yisrael anymore? Once if this that they got killed was their kapara, so and that's what happened. So let us be able to be marked of their kabanes. Lav mishum only because there was a time that they were ashamed that they served Avodah Zarah. They were part of the Yanedachas. You're right. Once they get killed, there's a tshuva, but it was already pushed off. Therefore, it gets pushed off forever. Abaya said back to Rav Yisrael, he said, "This meis metoich rishay havlei kapara." Do you then hold that because they got killed, the people of the Yanedachas, that's the kapara? Meis metoich rishay havlei kapara. A person who dies, who gets killed because of his evilness, that's not his kapara. So it's still called Zavach Rishayim. You can't prove from here that Kimin Shenitra Nitra. No, because they're still Rishayim. And Abai brings a raya that a Rasha was amazed and he gets killed because of his issues. He's not, killing him is not his kapara. The Tanya of Shmaya. Rav Shmaya spoke about the head of a kohen being metam himself to kohen who are dead, but it says if his father, I would have thought that a kohen could be metam even to his father or mother who went off the midak atzibur from the derech of Yisrael, meaning they became mumnim yitam. I would have thought this kohen could be metam himself. Talmud Lema comes the pasuk and teaches us ba'amov. Only to who could he be matama? Only to somebody is ba'isa ma'isa amav. Only to a father or mother who goes in bedach yisrael. But a karev who doesn't do ma'isa amav, it's forbidden for him to be matam himself to krayim or to be matam himself to krayim. Now, so it's a raya that if this person was a rasha till his death, but once he dies, you say he's forgiven. So why shouldn't he be able to be metam himself even to his father and mother who were Pishu? Nazaraya, so that from this that he cannot be metam himself, that they're not forgiven. Amalei Rava Mika Madamis. Rava says, could you then compare Nerek Mitech Rishay, Anshe and Adachas, who were punished because of the Rishus, Lemez b'teich rishay, or to a person who died naturally, because he died naturally and not because of his rishus. I'll say a person who died because of his evilness, but since he died a normal death, a natural death, so then it's not a kapara. But but by the Inadachas, they got killed because of the evilness. It wasn't even a lava kiyuchimaya, since it wasn't a natural death. I'll say that it is a kapara, so you can't compare. Somebody was killed, was killed because of his evilness. He's a mechupa that he's forgiven the chsiv, like it says, in the Mizvah, the Song of Asal. It says that the Eivishter came, meaning Elakim Bo, the Eivishter came, Elakim and Goyim came, and they were Matama the Heichel, and Nasnas Nivlas Avadecha Machleiv Hashemayim. They gave the dead bodies of your servants as food to the birds of heaven, and B'sar Chasidecha, and the basa of those that were Chassidim, L'chais Haaretz, to the beast of the land. My Avadecha, Avadach meaning the Avdi Hashem, or my Chasidecha, and what does Chasidecha mean? It's two different categories. Lav, is it not? Chasidecha and Chasidecha Mamish. Chasidecha means people who never did any evil ever. Avadecha, these Avdi Hashem, of what kind of people? That to be given, they were high punishments. But once they were killed, they were considered as Avadecha. So you see that the Misa does forgive. Could you then compare? Says Gemara, Harugya Malchus, Oivdi Chavim. Harugya Malchus is Agoyim, meaning, so the Avadecha that's written in the Tilim is Larugya Bezdin. You can't come, I'm sorry. Harugya Malchus by Avadecha is referring to Goyim who killed. How could you compare it Larugya Bezdin to Benegay to Anshe Yaredachas? You can't compare the two. Harugya Malchus, which is done through Goyim Kina, Shadloi Kedin Kamikatli since by Goyim, they didn't kill according to Din Havilu Kapara, so therefore it's a Kapara for them, and therefore they're called Avdei Hashem. Harugya Bezdin, keep the Bedin Kamikatli, but Harugya Bezdin, since the Bezdin is killing them Kedin, like have a little Kapara, it's not going to be a Kapara for them. I'll bring you right. It's not. We learned in the Mishnah Benegay Harugay Bezdin. It says that those that were killed by Bezdin, if it would have been a kapara after they were killed, they should have been buried with their fathers, and we said they wouldn't be buried. If you're going to think Harugay Bezdin, when Bezdin kills them, it's a kapara lekabra, they should have been buried. And if you want to know, Nisuk for the on. You're right. It is a kapara, but it's not the full kapara. The full kapara is together with the burial. In fact, the Gemara it says that the harig of that Bezdin killed, they wouldn't mourn over this person, this rasha. Only they would grieve in their hearts. Because aninus is only in the heart. But if you're going to say, once these people are buried, Misa with Kfur is a kapara le'avlov, so why let them mourn over them? Because the full kapara didn't happen yet. Being a nami ikobasa, we need the decomposing of their flesh. Dekanami, I'll bring you a raya that only after the decomposing of the flesh, that's when the kapara is kapara. The Tani that we learned, the sakal abasa. If the flesh was decomposed, then we gather the bones, then we bury it together with the kvarim of the father. Shmami knows that the full kapara ends after the decomposing of the bones. Ravashi says, there is laharugi bazna kapara to misu kvura, even without the decomposing of the flesh. Avelas meimasek maschelas. From when does the avelas start? He says, mistim sagelo, from when they cover the arin, when they close, they put the cover over the arin in the grave. kapora meyamasai hakavia. When does the kapora start? So he said, "Mebei chazat tzara de kiva purta." From when the mace has tzara keva, and the tzara keva is from the beginning of the decomposing. And since there was a little bit of time, according to Avashi, it's not till the whole flesh gets decomposed. That's a long time. Avashi says even a short time, but that short time that it started to decompose, you couldn't do any avelos. The avelos was nitcha, so since it was already pushed off, it's pushed off forever. So, what do we need? The full decomposing of the flesh in order to bury it with the fathers. Let's wait a little bit when the decomposing starts, and then take the bones with the flesh that's left over and bury with the regular with the fathers. And the one because he can't transfer the mace anymore. Once it starts decomposing, it becomes all smelly, and you have to wait till the whole flesh gets decomposed. So about a story, keep the Rav, have a shak after Liishta Basrema. From the cave of Rav, they would take earth for somebody who had fever for one day. Also, people came up like Shmuel. They told Shmuel, oh, they're using things that belong to a mace, which is Hasbana for the four. The Shmuel said, yo, they're doing fine. Karka ilamu, it's only karka. It's a chilk of the karka, but karka ilam ain't necessary. Stam karka is not us. Like it says by Yeshua HaMelech, it says that they took out the Asherah and they burnt it into ash. The Asherah trees that they bowed to, they burnt. And what did they do with the ash? That they threw it over the kvarim, which is something that's asmana, because it's avetz kechavim. But we said once it lands on the sand, it's nothing on the earth. The earth is not aser. Makish kevim b'nei. We can prepare something that was served for idols to just like when it's mechubel karka, it doesn't become asmana. It says that you'll chase away, drive away the getchkes on the high mountains, alaharim alayhayim, and also the idols that are found on the mountains have to be destroyed. But not the mountains itself that they use as a god. That you don't have to destroy, because that anything that's mechuba, anything that's karka is not asur. So to hear something that's mechuba is not asur. So that's why they were allowed to use the sand for by Rav's cave as a refuah. On Shmuel, somebody who digs a keva and designates that keva for his father, and he went ahead and buried his father elsewhere. That keva that he designated for his father cannot be used for anything. So you see, that's mechubel karka, and you say it's also. So you see, there's a isa on karka. And you want to hachmayas by a keva that was designated from mace. Hachmayas kin by keva binyan. Here it's talking about a keva that wasn't in the ground. It was a structure above the ground. Tashmakum neher. I'll bring you a rai for the brayse keva chadash. Which is Akash and Shmuel, to say the karka is also keva chadash that wasn't designated for any mace. Mutvana, you're allowed to have ana. But if a navel fall in it, asabana becomes asabana because it's being used as a mace, and so you see, it's the iser is chal even on a keva. And the one of chanami bekeva binyan here too. We're talking about with a structure that it was above the keva. So Gemara Tashma, I'll ask you a different kasha on Shmuel to prove you that the keva is asmana. I'll find you 3 categories and do your name by kvarim. Keva nimtza, a keva that belongs to a person, it's in his field, and somebody buried a mace. So keva, how you do a keva that a mace was buried there with the haskama of the balasada. Keva hamazik is a more keva that is in the place where people are walking and becoming tummy not knowingly, so it's mazik derabim. Says the Gemara, keva nimse mutalaf hanaisa. Keva that somebody put the mace there shalei b'rishus is you're allowed to get rid of the mace, and pinot mekaymei tar. And if they removed it, they removed the mace, that place becomes tar. Even though the chacham were goes on a keva, once it was used for a mace, it's always tamei. But here, not on a keva that was used b'gzela. Mutbana, and it's also mutbana because it was done b'gzela. So it doesn't have a din keva to be to ask it because of tashmishim mes. Keva you do us lafanaisa. A keva that was done with the haskama of the balasada to bury that mace there. There it's you're not allowed to remove the mace because of biza mace. Pino mekayma, if they did remove the mace, tame that place is awesome because of exes chachamim. Vasavana. Because the chacham didn't want people should remove a mace from just like that. It's a bizayah, and you're not allowed to have enough. The din medin misham sham mace. Keva hamazik is harap, but the keva where people don't walk back and forth over it, not knowing that they're tummy and they become tummy. Mutlaf, so you're allowed to remove the mace from there. Pino, but mekayim tar. If once they remove it, the place is tar. But we also about no, you're not allowed to have a no from the tashmishay mace. That's a isa daraisa. So from this baraisa we see that the klal, the mekayim of a keva is asba no. Not like Shmuel says that the keva of the mekayim of the keva is mutba no. Here it says meferish sasa. Here, what are we talking about? A structure above the ground. So one of the categories was a keva where they found a mace buried there without his shoes. Is you're allowed to remove it, and it's the place is mutter. How could you say that? Dilma mace mitzvah. Maybe it's a mace mitzvah. Mace mitzvah karma kaimai, and a mace mitzvah is kind of its place. If you want a shiny mace mitzvah is different. The color mislay. There's a koil, meaning when a mace mitzvah happens, it becomes a pirsum. So obviously it's not mitzvah of mace mitzvah. Somebody who will tachrichem for that person, abayama, and he didn't designate it for Adam HaMeis. He just wove a baguette for tachrichem. Abayama asabana mishum tashmish mace. You're not allowed to use it only for that mace. Oh, he designated for that mace. So once he designated for that mace, it can only be used for that mace. But Avama Mutta, it's Mutbana, and it's not considered as Tashmishim mace yet. Abaya Asmana Milsahi. Abaya says a baguette is Asmana because the Hasmana, because designating it is Chashuv, that the Chayfetz should be Chal for that, specifically for that usage. Mota, you could use it. He says that designating a chayfetz for a specific usage is not considered already as if it's chal. My time of Abaya, what's the reason of Abaya that he says that designation it makes it aser? It says sham by egel harufa. And it says Sham by Miriam, by Maze, just like by Eglarufa. Once they designated the animal, its Isur is already Chal before you break its back. Hainabi Bazmana, the Tasa, so too, the Tashma Shamez, just designating it for the use of a mace becomes awesome already before you use it. But Rava learns he learns the Gzeir Shava not from Eglarufa, rather from the Avidz Gechavim. Just like by the items of Avodah Zarah don't become asmana through designating it. It's not enough through designating it. Rather, you have to serve it or you use it for Avodah Zarah. So too, by mace, the designating for the usage of mace doesn't become also only when you actually use it for the mace. But Rava who learns the Isa Tashmish mace with Exeda Shava from the Avid Zicham, my time and like Egla Rufa. Why doesn't he want to learn it out from Egla Rufa like Abaya? Rav will answer you because we learn out chafetzim that are forbidden by Allah because of usage. That means tashmish meis will learn out from other chafetzim which are used like misham shavei dezara agarufa the higufi kadesha to exclude agarufa that it itself is holy. The isana is because of itself, of its guf, not because it was used for anything else, and therefore you cannot learn it out from it for tashmish hameis. Because the agarufa is it's in itself; it's not being served for anything else. In itself, that's the kedusha. That's what the mitzvah is all about. Abai, my time Abai, why doesn't he want to learn out the Gzeir Shov from Navitzichem? Amalach. Abai will answer, we learn out chafetzim from something that it's the derech for the Yidden to do, like Tashmish Meis is the derech for the Yidden to do, to make the Tashmish Meis, the Tachrichim and the Oren. And the same thing is Agel Arufa. That's something that he didn't do. It's not the derech for the Yidden to serve Avodah Zarah. So therefore, we don't learn out from Avodah Zarah for Tashmish Meis, because we only learn out things that are common for people to do. To do serve Avodah Zarah is not something or supposed to. It's for things that you're allowed to do. That's also to do Avodah Zarah. And even if he would designate for something for Avodah Zarah, but he by being miyach such a chayfetz, he can retract. A person would retract and not use it. But for something that's mutter, like Tashmish Meis, I would say, yeah, the designation helps. Because a person doesn't retract when it comes to the using things for mitzvah that you're allowed to do.